am not making statements. I am not a social worker. There are people who do that for a living, and it's their job to remain socially responsible for such things. I wouldn't want to be that person ever, not at all. I guess I have suffered a little bit because of that. And it hasn't been so easy for people to imagine that, Acha, she's here, let's cast her. I was telling Akshay, I was like, I'd love to do an action film because it's like, hey, and from there it just suddenly came to me. I'm like, why not? But again, for me to be able to, for somebody to imagine me in a role like that might take a long time. For an actor to be part of different kinds of cinema is it is my oxygen, literally. I wish that it wasn't just critically acclaimed. I wish that we had more number of people come and watch that film.
Having cake and enjoying it too. Lovely.
Literally, right? This is that. I know. So
Yeah.
I'm having my cake and coffee and enjoying it too. Correct.
That's my kind of a girl. So congratulations, Houseful is running 2 packed houses, literally. So I want to ask you this question. If given a choice, which one would you choose? If you were to choose one. Critical acclaim, which you've received plenty of, or commercial success, as you're experiencing right now with Houseful 5. So which one of these two would you choose, given a choice?
See, all kind of love, audiences praise, and acknowledging that we have entertained them in some way or the other. I think every single one of them matters. For me, it doesn't matter, oh, the intelligent audience, oh, just the critics have loved it. The more number of people, and I think whether you're an artist, you're an actor, you are up jo bhi hai, even if you make a painting, like anything, you want more and more people to love your work, and that's what we want as actors. So yeah, for me, I was just in fact just saying to another journalist that I wish that Hazaro had got box office success. I wish that it wasn't just critically acclaimed. I wish that we had more number of people come and watch that film. So for me, all love is good, as whoever, wherever.
So you said Hazaro Khwaishein, Aisi, and it continues to remain a point of recall. And also, I think your identity in the industry is synonymous with that film. It's been, what, 20 years now? So, I mean, that movie is there for posterity, and as I said, remains a point of recall in the industry. So, I mean, after making your debut in a film like that, you did take a break and then you did come back. But did you somewhere feel it didn't pan out the way you expected it to? And, it's been like a bit of a struggle in navigating your way around the industry.
So I'll tell you what happened, Pooja, was that Hazaro literally happened on its own. It was, that we've spoken about this, that it was a bit of a hand of destiny that made that happen. It came my way. And then I don't think I took films or my work or career that seriously, and I took time off for personal reasons. So then the amount of love that I got for Hazaro, and jitna logon ne mujhe praise kiya, whether the kind of filmmakers, whether it was Shekhar Kapoor, Vishal Bhardwaj, Ketan Mehta, everybody, like, the way they spoke of my work. I thought when after those 7.5 years, when I came back, I thought that'll be easier for me to, get work. But it wasn't. I mean, in the sense, people do tend to forget, and they do think that she can take off anytime. I think that's the one thing that I feel a lot of times I have to even today tell people that I am here in Bombay. I am working because they think, acha, wo yahan rehti hai. She's probably gone off to Delhi. I don't know if she's serious about work. Is she going to stay? Even till today, this happens. So I guess I have suffered a little bit because of that. And it hasn't been so easy for people to imagine that, acha, she's here, let's cast her. So yeah, that's probably, it's just stuck somewhere.
So we saw Desi Boys, where you showcased another facet of your personality. Glamorous. I mean, you are a drop-dead gorgeous woman. There's no denying it. But I just feel that the industry tends to box and, was trying to also box you that they call you the new face of parallel cinema. They also equated you with Smita Patilji. And, so did you feel that it's taken you that much time to break out of the mold that the industry wanted to put you in? Because recently, I mean, in these 20 years, one is seeing you do a lot more, in terms of genres and roles, because last time we spoke of Gaslight, where you played an antagonist, then you'd had Khaki, and now you have Houseful 5, which is an ensemble mainstream commercial film, as they say. Do you feel you're finally getting to, you know, navigate your way around and in terms of genres and roles and.
I think, it also takes time for audiences to believe that you can do different things and accept that you can do different things. I think filmmakers also take time to realize that, हाँ, अच्छा ये भी ठीक से करती है, and हाँ, dance भी कर लेती है, comedy भी कर लेती है. But for that, the only thing is that somehow I guess it's also your destiny when what gets offered to you. Sometimes the kind of offers, like if today I want to say I want to do action film, and people would be like, action film, but she does this kind of work and whatever. But I did get a chance in Houseful B, the B version of it. I did get a chance to do some action, some amount of action, which I love doing. And I was like, why not? In fact, I was telling Akshay, I was like, I'd love to do an action film because he's like, hey, I was like, yeah. So then, I mean, he's seen bits of it, and he said, I mean, he liked my work, and he said that you've done well, he really liked it. So I said, why not? And from there, it just suddenly came to him like, why not? But again, for me to be able to, for somebody to imagine me in a role like that might take a long time. So really, I think artists ka bane of the of the job is that you have to sit and wait, and that's all you can do.
No, but you're right. Especially women get the rough end of the stick, and especially when, and sometimes the focus more is on how she looks and other aspects of her life over and above her talent.
Yeah, probably, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, there are certain sort of thought processes that are set in the system, and they are changing. They have changed a lot. I think there's a big change already, but it takes a while. It takes a while. Yeah.
Recently, Janelia said when she was married, the industry, just kind of sidelined her. Deepika Padukone also was, coming back after her maternity break, wanted fixed working hours. Do you feel that one needs to actually, which I think is okay if she wants fixed working hours, and, do you think we can, somewhere it should be acceptable that people want to strike that work-life balance?
No, nobody could, and I think that's also because, like, say, Deepika would have her own fan following that backs her up. You come to a point, and you come to this sort of sense. I mean, I suppose an influence that you have, where you can have an opinion and stand by it. You come to a certain stage in your career, in your life, when you can say things like that. Maybe a newcomer even today can't say things like that. So I suppose. Yeah, when the baton passes, and it comes to you, you should be able to take a stand on things that you believe in. That is definitely important. Yeah.
The industry is changing, and but if I were to ask you, which is the one thing you really feel you wish would be implemented and is the need of the hour, personally?
Hmm. Well, with conviction that it should happen. I think it should be a lot more democratic, the industry. And that is on all levels, whether it is producing, acting, setting up projects. I wish it was a lot more inclusive, in that sense. And I wish that the criteria was either the talent or the content, or I mean, and this is the most ideal situation I'm talking of. It's a real world at the same time. But I think something like that would be interesting. So if somebody has a good project, instead of getting it, if so and so person is not attached, it's not valid. I wish there was a system where it had a hearing, so to speak, so that yeah, democratic is the word. I wish it was more inclusive and more democratic. Yeah.
So, talking about Houseful now, this is also, after Desi Boys, you reunite with Akshay after a long time.
Yeah. It's been a while.
That long.
Yes.
So, what is it like, reconnecting with people you've worked before and also meeting new people? Because, I mean, it's like over a dozen people in that star cast. So, what was the entire vibe like that of the set?
It was madness, but I mean, like I had done a film with Abhishek, with Sanju, with Akshay. So in that sense, these three people I kind of knew enough. The rest of them, even Chunky, I knew like off and on socially. But so like Nargis, I kind of knew. I've sort of met socially, even Jackie, but really didn't know otherwise. But yeah, they were all a lot of fun. I think everybody comes very secure with whatever spaces that they are and what work they've done in their lives. But actually, it was good fun. And we also did a little bit in Khel Khel together.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I did that thing when he called me. Actually, Mudassar called me for that. And then he called it like Karlena, like, it's interesting. And then we put a little Desi Boys car. Like, it's a nice kind of a reminder. And I think it got so much love, those 10 minutes or whatever that we did. So together now in a proper film was so much fun. We spent a lot of time like around each other, of course, on sets. And I feel like now he's become such a friend. I think he's like this person that I can pick up the phone on any time for good advice. And he was advising me even because I was asking him कि ये ठीक है, because I've not done comedy ज़्यादा तो नहीं हो गया. Maya का character is a little serious. Is looking a little silly. Is it stupid if I behave like this? So I was constantly checking with him on this also, like kind of feedback. What did he think? And he'd tell me कि हाँ ऐसा मत कर, like so whatever, a little bit that he can. So yeah, I feel like it's good to have him on set and it's good energy. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And I mean, the number of people in that movie and the scale with which it has made,
Yeah.
and the promotions, I mean, it must have been crazy. I mean, especially the logistics involved and I mean, everything, the town charm.
I was just saying that, you can imagine when we all 12 used to be on set for the shots. Imagine when they said, okay, final checks, and that final checks made, there would be 12 makeup artists with their 12 assistants and 12 hairstylists and 12 spots would be there, and there may be one odd manager in the middle of that as well. So you can imagine what would happen. It's like then I just say the bees have come in like and the whole place was like swarmed literally, and then they would all be like, okay, fine, that's it, everybody. So then they would all leave together and then be like, the khali ho gaya, it's just the 12 of us. It was madness. I mean, it was a house full in house full.
Also the fact that the movie is doing well at the theaters, but the reviews, it's got mixed reviews. There's some, it's not landed very well with some, and a few have enjoyed it. So, what do you make of it? Do you read reviews? Do you take the feedback? Or, as you said earlier, like everyone is entitled to their opinion?
I mean, I'm not so sort of indifferent, to what people are saying. Of course, it is made for them. It affects me. I read what people are saying. It does matter to me how they look at the work. But, to be fair, मुझे ऐसा लगता है that every film has its own tone, it has its own humor, its own sensibility. Not everything can be the same, like I've been saying like an Adam Sandler film, even Pink Panther, and films like this, even
Yes.
Simpsons for that matter, even Simpsons, to quite an extent. So I feel like there's a certain sensibility and a humor that everything is made with. If we start to be very politically correct, morally, socially correct, I don't know how much we'll need to sanitize the whole, you know, it becomes so humorless. Sometimes you need to um, be adult enough to understand in what vein is something written, with what intention is it written. So I feel like we should look at it like that. Is how I feel. And some people are loving it; they're really enjoying it. I Yeah, I mean it's because like see, like I was just saying that Akshay has also done a Batman, right? He's done a case 3 recently. I've also done certain films about very empowered women, but then I've also done a song and dance, and I feel like we as actors do different genres. That's when we're not really like flag bearers every time, and we do a part. We're not making any statements. Not that I'm defending the film and people should have their opinions, but that's what I feel, really.
Also, let me ask you this question: is somewhere does your ideology and what you believe in also influence the choices you make when it comes to your career in terms of roles and films? Or are you of that thought that you are an actor and you're an artist who just needs to represent everything that's happening around us, irrespective of what you may personally be feeling about the situation that is on screen. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I have actually done characters which are not mostly mainstream.
Yeah.
So I also get heard, I get told sometimes that, it's not the most massy heroine in that sense, the characters that I've played. So I believe that this is my performance. I'm making you empathize with this person, get you, I don't know how to say this, like, for you to be able to understand a woman in such a situation as well. I mean, will I be doing something what, say, a Geeta Rao did? No, I don't think so. Or somebody else did? I don't think so. So for me to be part of that, it interests me that there are all kinds of people in this world. I would love to play a Notch girl, straight out of Muzaffar Ali's film, someday, or a Sanjay Leela Bhansali, because it interests me the lives they lived. So everybody is very different, and for an actor to be part of different kinds of cinema is it is my oxygen, literally.
No, no, absolutely.
I can't, I'm not making statements. I am not a social worker. There are people who do that for a living, and it's their job to remain socially responsible for such things. I wouldn't want to be that person ever, not at all.
But also talking about, recently there have been examples in mainstream cinema where the portrayal of women is not being very complimentary. She's just regarded as a glamorous accessory and could just well be part of the furniture, good looking furniture. That's the way she's being portrayed. Do you also take that into consideration when, you know, you're approached with a script and a character? So, what actually makes you sign on to a film? Is it the director? Is it the story? Is it length of your role? Or is it your co stars?
The first thing is the part that is being offered to me, for sure. That definitely is very important. But then a very close second is the director, because it is he who will do what he has to do with it. It may be amazing on paper, like sounds like, wow, this is Mughal Azam, but I also have to know what the person is who will actually be executing it. So that director is probably the most important thing after that. Yeah.
Would it be okay to play? Because your character, you come across as a very strong, independent, very self-reliant kind of person. But if you were to play a character of, say, a simpering Abla Nari, would you be able to do it? I mean, you would be able to do it, but would you want to do it?
I would i would do it. See, because like I just said a while back, that I am not here to make any socially, like, no statements being made here at all. Even for Houseful, for that matter, we're not making any statements at all. We're talking about, so when you say Ranjit sir had played a rapist, he's molested women on screen, doesn't mean that's who he is.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
a certain character. That's not what he believes in. You see, you also have to understand actors are actors at the end of the day. If I get a character like that, I would definitely want to play it, because there are people like that. And I'm playing such character. Not that I'm glorifying that character, but
Yeah.
I'm telling a story of one such person, probably. And I would love to go in the mind of someone like this and know why they do it. Why would you listen to everything? What makes you weak? Why would you be so submissive? Why being so servile to a man that you can be better, from, like, better than? I would love to look at it and approach. This will also be my approach, and I would find that interesting, honestly. Yeah.
Okay, so now coming back, if you were to play or a character or someone, not even a character, or maybe a real life person who you could visit from the past, meet from the past, and get into their mind space, who would that be? To understand what made them work, take.
Wow. From the past. I mean,
Someone who intrigued
it's
you.
a bit of an obvious kind of answer, but I would say Smita Patil,
Ah,
because I mean, I feel like I heard some of her interviews, And I thought she was so progressive in her thinking, so articulate, even back then. A very cerebral woman, and how was she so ahead of her time, the way she performed. Like Waris is one such film that stands out for me. I think Mirch Masala, what is it? Like, what was her reference points? Because I mean, we can very easily say Smita ji, but I don't think there was anybody like her in Indian film who did work like that before her. I don't even think Wahida ji and people like that were very commercial, before her.
Also, these days, the landscape is looking a little bleak. Things are not that bright. So, I mean, being part of the industry, what are the kind of conversations you're hearing about this current scenario that, the films are not doing well, the content is not impressing people? What do you actually personally think is the reason?
I mean, that's something that there's so many times I would say, I was just joking. No, but there is no freedom, there is no sense of this abandon that you can actually be yourself. And as much as we may deny it, but it's seeping through everything. Our conversations, our Instagrams, our everything is sanitized to an extent that is boring. It's not real anymore. It's not spontaneous anymore. And that's what's happening with the films as well. I mean, so much of your, like, your comedy, your jokes, you gotta be careful. Forget that. Even having a statement, अरे पर आपने लड़की को ऐसे कैसे दिखा दिया, अरे पर ये color क्यों पहन, like, simplest of the things. And there's a lot of money and time and everything that goes behind making a film. So you see very sanitized, correct versions of films now. That's why I suppose OTT just gives you more chance to experiment and get away with a lot of things that may not, get opposed. So I feel it's to do with everything. And of course, now the audience has a lot of choice. Matlab, itna international content hai. You compare everything. There's all of that as well. So there's a little bit of, there's not just one thing. There's so much, Pooja, that's changing, and we're not being able to adapt so quick, I suppose. Yeah.
Absolutely. Everything seems to be changing fast and life's moving like this. Even as we speak, there's some change happening, but
It's
it's
yeah.
always a pleasure to chat with you and would love to meet up with you in our hometown, Delhi. But
Yes.
उससे पहले what next after Houseful तो Houseful हो गया उसके बाद क्या?
Uske baad, I've done a film with Hani Trehan with Nawaz, opposite Nawaz. It's called Raat Akeli Hai. So that's already shot and finished. So that should release end of the year, and hopefully we should have one more announcement pretty soon, and that's something that we start shooting middle of the year, and that's something that I'm hoping that happens and happens really soon. Excited for that one. Yeah.
जाते जाते just define yourself as an actor in one word.
Um, in one word.
अच्छा तीन ले लो.
तीन ठीक है. Now I have a little bit. Okay. Uh, can you think of what to say? Um, Desperately seeking. I don't know. I don't know. High, I suppose. Something like that. Yeah. Like, hi, we're doing
हजारों में एक, हजारों ख्वाहिशें ऐसी, हजारों में एक. I'm just like, I'm not
हजारों में
very
एक
creative.
चित्रांगदा. नहीं 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 नहीं, अभी वैसे हाँ, हजारों ख्वाहिशें तो बहुत सारी हैं, बट एज एन एक्टर आई सपोज desperately seeking is not the word, but like constantly, looking for a high. Yeah, looking at that one character that can give me the high, something like that. Yes.
अभी तक मिला,
It's
अभी
all
तक
day I
other
can't.
than गीता और मिला नहीं.
Huh?
Other than Geeta, ऐसा कोई character, I mean, who's actually your favorite character from all you played that you are like, she's close, like she means a lot.
I think Maya, again a Maya from Inkar. I think
Ah,
character is something which is very, very me. It's the closest to who I am as in real life. So I think that's very close to me. I feel like it's a very hard place to be where Maya was. Yeah.
well, always a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you for your time, Chitrangda. Grab
Thank
my
you,
coffee.
Pooja.
If you've liked this interview, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram.